just go ahead. I was talking about my very good friend Bob Thompson, who's an icon himself, reminding me of the history of Purdue, but particularly Purdue Ag Econ, which is my degree major, and the work with Brazil. And isn't it a great example of what can be accomplished through dialogue, which is what this is about. It's people to people. It's sharing. It's what I grew up as with 4-H and FFA as extension, taking things that great professors at academic institutions around the world, and by extension private organizations, because more of my life has been in the private sector than in any other, and taking that and working with it. So when I heard about this from Dean Plout, I just said, gosh, can I lend my endorsement? Can I lend my hand to advocate for this? I have to say something about Brazil because that's the focus here, but I hope by extension I would say the same were this a Thai event or a Canadian event, is that these kinds of things are important. Every government-to-government meeting I've been on, and I've been now to 24 countries, several of them twice and a couple of them 3 times, I always begin on the subject of trade by saying I firmly believe trade is a two-way street. And sometimes, and I think that's important because I think sometimes people, for lack of a better word, fear the size, the magnitude, the ability of the U.S. agriculture machine to produce and ship. We don't want to put anybody out of business. We don't. We want to lift them up. And I think that's exactly what happened here and what comes out of dialogue like this. So on the topic of Brazil, look at this unique time. We have our presidents have had their love fest, you know, they seem to be back in good graces, and we have Minister Teresa Cristina, the Minister of Ag, someone who I admire greatly, coming here in a week or so, and we'll meet with her. I now learn I get a couple bites at that apple. Not only will she be at USDA with Secretary Perdue and me, but I'll be at the embassy, where I love to go, by the way, beautiful embassy, and see some of you. And so we want to embrace her because we all have so much more in common and in agreement on agriculture than we do have differences. There are those differences, and they're serious, and we've got to work on them. But boy, the moment we let that capture us, we're doomed. We have to look at the positive and go through and work that, and that is where I certainly stand. I have to say something about the technologies that I think have helped feed the world and helped advance that. Brazil and so many of the countries here, I should add, are so like-minded. I'll use biotechnology. And look what's in front of us with gene editing. You know, I'm a student of history, and in the U.S., probably in many of your countries, I have read and heard and even experienced the rural electrification of America, where electricity came to farms. I'm a red equipment guy, so I know all about Cyrus McCormick and his reaper. My brother worked for Deere. I know about John Deere and his plow. We've raised seed corn and seed soybeans for Pioneer Hybrid for 40 plus years. I know about the hybridization of the world in many cases. Pesticides, I worked for a company that manufactured those and seeds, and I have seen the benefit of technologies bringing better, safer, more abundant food and agriculture to the world. Just last week, I was in Mexico, and I had the opportunity to go to Summit. I'm an enormous fan of Norman Borlaug. I got to know Norm. He was on the Dow AgriSciences Global Advisory Council. And to see the 50,000 some, what are they called? Not varieties, maybe species of maize that they have there, and 150,000 types of wheat. And to see on the map where those go to help bring food to the world, that didn't just come about. That came about with ingenuity and dialogue and collaboration, much like is going on in this meeting and in this room, and has been for decades in the past, and for goodness sake, I hope decades in the future. So, count me in as a participant in this. I must say, I am bullish on the relationships around the world. I'm bullish on trade. I'm not Pollyannish. For those that don't know the difference, that means I'm not wildly, crazily optimistic. It's been a heavy lift. And for those of you that do not like what the U.S. has been doing in trade, I beg forgiveness, but all we seek is fair trade. All we seek is fair trade. I'll take you back to a humorous event when I had in southern Minnesota when I was in sales. I had a distributor that I was calling on, and I was trying to sell him some things, and he said, Ted, all I want is a fair advantage. I said, okay, got it. The U.S. does not seek a fair advantage. We want to compete on a level playing field, which it's not been in many, not all, but many parts of the world. So forgive us as we go through these choppy waters and we straighten out trade, but I just want you to know that I'm all in. Let me tell you how far I'll go to try to make sure there is equity, and I'm holding up and lifting up another country as much as I am my own interests. I will not name the country, but I said what I said to you earlier. I believe in two-way trade, and I really believe it. I hope I'm working as hard for you as I work for my own farmers and ranchers. And I think he tried to put me to death. He said, well, our country needs some F-16 fighter jets. Can you help me with that? I said, I don't know, but I'll try. And I came back. I called my colleague at the Department of Defense. This is the undersecretary that has armament sales and armament purchases. I won't name her name, but I said, I want you to know I've got an opportunity that you need to follow up on. Now, I don't know where that all ended up. That's not my business. But I kept my word. If that person was serious about some F-16 fighter jets, I was going to try to help them out. Because I thought maybe that might do something for my friends who are hurting and have been hurting for 6 years in the food and ag industry, notably our farmers and ranchers. So, that being what it is, trade's going to be trade. It'll always be some turbulence, some choppy waters. We're just going to have to work through that. But as long as you know that I'm here to work for the win-win as much as we can, wherever we can, always it's got to be front of mind, not back of mind. I think we're going to take this thing forward, and we're going to continue to bring on those new technologies that we have found to be so beneficial to feed a world. When I saw the dwarf wheat, semi-dwarf wheat variety that saved millions and millions of lives, I want you to know, I just about cried. Partly because I knew Norm, God rest his soul, partly because Julie Borlaug is a very close friend of mine. It brought a tear to my eye because I remembered at about age 14 or 15 giving a 4-H speech, a competitive speech in 4-H. Many of you know that organization. And it was about the Green Revolution. And here I got to see what the man himself and all his team had delivered. And I think by extension, that's what this group is about. So let's go chase those new boundaries. Let's break down barriers. Let's let personalities work together collaboratively. No other way to do it like that. And I'll always stand proud of my Purdue Boilermaker roots. And just to know, so you know what a rah-rah cheer guy I am, it's not a well-known secret, but I was for 3 years the Boilermaker mascot. That was good days. We were going to bowl games then. We went to the Final Four in NCAA basketball. So I know a little something about enthusiasm and trying to make these things move forward, and I'm still very much like that today. So God bless you. Go work, collaborate, create new things, move forward. Let's go feed a hungry world. And to my friend Dean Plout, thank you for calling this thing out to me. I'm so glad you did. I'm grateful. Thank you very much.